Welcome to the Hospitality Hoot Podcast, where we talk everything hospitality, restaurants, food and beverage, business management, and a little bit of real estate here and there. It's your one-stop shop for everything you need, hospitality, news, all that stuff. So, yeah.
For sure. There's a lot going on right now, so we got a lot to talk about, and I'm excited to get into it.
Yeah, let's do it. So, as our introductory episode, I guess we should talk about ourselves a little bit.
Yeah.
You want to start, how'd you get started off in the hospitality industry and restaurants and stuff?
Yeah. Love to just dive in a little bit and talk a little bit about myself and where I come from and some, background about me. Been in the food and beverage industry for, 12, 13 years now. Started typical from the bottom up. Started in, bussing tables and doing some bar back shifts and kind of got my feet wet there. Worked at a couple country clubs, mom and pop shops, wineries, hotel, and restaurant group just recently. Did everything from, bussing to, general management of properties, and learned a heck of a lot along the way there. And, recently decided to start our own company, White Owl Hospitality. To give back to the community. There's a lot going on right now and a lot of struggling businesses, and I want to bring my expertise to the table and, help out our local community.
Right on, dude. Yeah. And I got my start a little bit differently. All my family, my mom was a bartender, my dad was a chef, my brother was a bartender, everybody was in the service industry at some point, and kind of that's how my whole family started. So I was literally in restaurants my whole life, but I didn't start really working in a restaurant until about 6 years ago. Started as a barback, went to bartended at a super hot spot, 50 world's 50 best bars type of spot. And then went on to manage a couple of different locations, and then moved down to San Diego. And then we met when we worked together and decided to start White Owl Hospitality, do our own thing, because we've got some pretty similar views on the industry. And we think a lot of people, especially in San Diego, but just in these emerging markets, just need help and a little bit of guidance. A lot of stuff has changed in the last 10 years or so. So if you've been a business owner for 30 years, maybe things made sense up until 2014, before technology really started taking over. But everything's moving so fast these days that you really need to keep up to date on everything. You can't, it's not just a set it and forget it mentality anymore,
Yeah, absolutely. Like you said, the power of social media and the influence that shares in this industry, it's huge, and it happens so quick. Trends are over before you know it. I remember the little baby Yoda came and went so fast, but little things like that. It's funny hearing your story. It's I didn't really have any family. I guess I worked with my brother for a little bit at the very beginning, but I got this wasn't something anybody in my family did. So it's just kind of wild how different our backgrounds can be, and bring us to where we are today. But yeah, Seth and I met just recently at our last property, and we vibe pretty good, and we clicked almost right away. And I think we're going to build something really cool, really something fun. Yeah.
And it's all part of I think there's a lot of people like us who are in the hospitality business, and we start looking beyond things. We go, well, we could do this better.
Yeah, we quickly learned what not to do in a lot of our spots. That's definitely something I pick up when I work somewhere. You want to pick up all the experience you can from somewhere, and you always want to be learning and educating yourself in the industry. But a lot of the times I find myself just, saying, well, I want to do that way. And you build that rapport and you build that portfolio of yourself and what you would do differently. And that's what we're going to bring to the table for sure.
Totally. I feel like there's an outstanding number of restaurants that are run by people who have never worked in a restaurant and don't know what it actually takes to run it. They just have the money. And if they're lucky enough, they hire a really good team that actually does know what they're doing. I think in like recent years, there's been so many more places that are opening that are bartender owned, previous like manager owned type of properties that are kind of these small things, but it's these big kind of like powerful corporations that are always just run by the money, and it's kind of impossible to even be like a bartender or even like a bar manager or a GM and think that you'll be able to actually open in your own restaurant with your own money. So I feel like that's kind of like my whole thing with this, like building this like consulting company, building the podcast. It's all kind of like a means to generate enough traction to like open our own spot one day or open multiple spots and have it be like industry focused and totally like rewarding to the people who actually work there, and not just looking at dollars and cents and like labor and stuff like that,
Yeah, and that's a big one for me is building a business that I can reward our team. I've always been huge. I really kind of focus on operations of the business and our employee relations. The way I manage is a little bit different. I put trust in my team to do the right job possible. We have to put the tools in our hands to do that, though. And a lot of these companies just aren't doing it. And at the same time, they're not being treated fairly. There's a way of management that I like to bring to the table and build a business around that and, to create something along those lines, and it'd be so rewarding to just have that opportunity to show that and express that way of management.
Yeah. And so this podcast is kind of like us, one, like getting our ideas and thoughts out on this stuff, but also just kind of incorporating that into news, like current things that are happening with hospitality. My goal is that it can help people that are either like in that bartender server position looking for the next step. Maybe they're managing and they want to learn how to manage a little bit better. If you're a restaurant owner, you could think maybe how to run my business a little bit better. Think about ways you can expand or ways you can create a better work culture around your business. And ultimately, like, we want to build an audience and build like a conversation around this sort of thing too. Involve people with our community and stuff. So as a basis, it'll be like mostly just us two doing this podcast, but we want to take opportunities as much as possible to have other guests on that are leaders in the industry, leaders in our city, like in San Diego, Southern California, or like generally at the larger scale California. But hopefully we can just scale this and create maybe even like a nationwide conversation.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to getting to that point where we have some guests on here that and just share their insight and their theories on everything, and hear their stories, because everyone's got them in this industry.
Totally. Yeah, everybody. Yeah, we were even talking about doing a secondary podcast of just having like bar stories and just crazy like just drama gossip stories.
Yeah. Well, I don't know if we'd have enough topics.
We have save that for a later date. So, with all that being said, let's get into the actual meat of this thing. So first off, I want to talk a little bit about just COVID news, what's going on. This was actually just issued out today in a tweet by Gavin Newsom. But basically, we got like a whole map of California, and it showed the counties that are still in the purple tier, which basically means it's like 25% indoor capacity, outdoor dining, and essentially a 25% capacity for most indoor establishments.
Yeah, which is so small to a lot of these places, especially down in San Diego. 25%, 20% can be 5 covers in a lot of these spots down here, with the buildings being so small, and so it doesn't give much opportunity for these places still.
Was like it said specifically it was 25% or 100 people, whichever is fewer.
Wow.
And I was like, how, like, what, have you ever worked somewhere that's a 400 person occupancy?
No,
Like, that's ridiculous.
that's huge. That's huge.
That's a huge spot. Imagine right now to have 100 people inside. Like, it's just insane. I think that honestly, San Diego has like this other kind of culture around it where there's kind of a lot of like hush hush going on. A lot of places are just kind of doing their own thing, which, you know, if I was a business owner, I would probably do the same thing. But it's a matter of like trying to stay responsible within those guidelines.
Yeah. Push some limits a little bit. I know there's a big uprising of places, especially down in Encinitas. I think a restaurant group that I used to work for actually is a part of it, and they just kind of said, you know what, we're not going to do it anymore. And to a certain extent, they kind of all band together, and they obviously, you know, you still want to be responsible and all that stuff, wearing masks on servers, things like that, and obviously staying sanitary and all that good stuff. But if you're forced to either close up or push the limits a little bit and push the boundaries, I would definitely say push the boundaries before closing my doors. I mean, if it was my money, I don't blame them.
Yeah, and it's, you know, if you're doing everything safely, like you're following the rules, you're following the guidelines that we can do this as safely as possible. It's one of those things where, you know, there are a few bad eggs. There's a few places that are just like no holds barred, just like no masks, no social distancing. You walk in and you can like taste the COVID in the air, and you're like, I'm trying to get out of here. You know, these places, you can tell that like they're probably contributing to a little bit of this like spread. But I would say that's like 5 to 10% of these businesses. Most of them are just doing their best, like, to stay open and make a little bit of money. And it's not even about making money at this point. It's just about covering your losses, paying the rent.
Yeah.
You know, paying your employees.
It's breaking even at this point.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, nobody's making huge profits right now, if any at all.
And I think there's a couple spots down in Little Italy that could be doing a little bit better than pre-COVID days.
I went out to Little Italy this weekend. Me and my girlfriend were celebrating our 9-year anniversary, and we went out, and I went to like Craft and Commerce, and it was like an hour wait, and then we're like, okay, while we're waiting, let's go see if it's a shorter wait at Ironside, and it was like an hour and a half to 2 hour wait there. And I was like, geez, man, we were walking down Little Italy, and like every patio's packed. They have people sitting at the bar. There's also these like the patios that they've built. They're like these big gazebos. I was looking at it, I was like, dude, that's like a $20,000 gazebo that they've built out, and they've like doubled their capacity because they're filling out their patio space. Now, more power to them. If you're able to do that, if you can afford like a big patio like that, that's awesome.
Yeah, it's a big project.
But imagine these other like little guys, you know, that are still making ends meet. They're trying their best just to like stay on the map, and they're like, I can't afford a $20,000 patio. Like,
yeah, I got an easy up and a couple nails.
I've literally seen some, like, they have like pallets where they've like nailed some pallets together, and then they just like put a big sign over it to kind of pretty it up. You know, something as little as that. But then you have these other things where it's like they're practically building a secondary restaurant outside on the street, you know?
Yeah. Then on the other hand, you got other places who just have like giant circus tents that are completely enclosed, doing the complete opposite of what its intentions. Yeah, it's funny to see those things. It's like, what is that doing?
Inside, outside.
Yeah.
It's like, what's the point?
Classic.
But on the good news of things, so California has issued out 9 million vaccines at this point. The test positivity rate is 2.3%, which, if you remember before the shutdown, I think the test positivity rate was something like, it was like 19 or like 20%.
Yeah, it was just below 20.
And we were having about like 50,000 cases a day reported. As of today, 3,516 cases reported today. That's in all of California, which is like a very, very small number.
Yeah.
You know, I probably know 3,500 people. So it's,
you got me beat on that one.
think about how many people you've interacted
Definitely
with. Like,
cases going down. It's a good sign for our industry to see these numbers going down pretty quickly. I mean, as soon as those vaccines kind of started rolling out, these numbers pretty drastically started going down, and hopefully that trend continues.
same, me too.
And I think the vaccines are coming out. I think Johnson's coming out with a new one too. And they're saying, at least our president is saying, by the end of July, they should have everybody able to be vaccinated by that time, which is something to look forward to. I mean, that's going to come before we know it.
Slipping into maybe like yellow tier or something like that, and things just kind of get rolling. I mean, I think it's hard to think like optimistically about this because, you know, every opening has been followed with like a pretty harsh shutdown. But I think this was the last shutdown.
Yeah, I think it was. It was pretty brutal for a lot of these restaurants to do the little ping pong of opening and closing. I mean, that's an expense that's put a lot of businesses out of operation for good. And a lot of good, reputable restaurants have shut their doors. Not an easy thing to overcome, but I mean, the ones that did, I think, are going to be the ones that really stick out, and they're doing something right. And
They're just kind of seeing green lights, and they're like, you know what, this is probably like the last run we're going to have. Let's just start early and get going. Let's not wait for the governor to tell us when we can, because people are making their own judgments at this point.
Yeah, fingers crossed. But everything's pointing in the right direction, which is good. It's nice to see.
Good news for restaurants and small businesses. The Biden administration just passed, or the House approved on the American Rescue Plan, a bunch of things except for the $15 minimum wage, which we can get into on another time, but that was not passed. So minimum wage federally is not really changing. Here in California, it pretty much is $15 already, so not going to be a big change for us. But I can imagine those places in like Nashville or something, where places with like servers' wages are still, that's going to be a huge deal for them.
Yeah.
But what we're seeing here is this relief bill has about $25 billion allocated for small restaurants and other small businesses, or small to medium restaurants is what they're saying. Yeah. Up to $5 million in grants for individual restaurants, bars, caterers, breweries, and tasting rooms, or up to $10 million for restaurant groups. So that's like a single restaurant could get up to $5 million.
Yeah, huge.
Yeah, that's like, I mean, that's like you get to start over. You know, you could
essentially
you could do a whole new restaurant for that much money. So, yeah, that's really good. And to qualify,
yeah, and I'm just hoping that it's easily obtainable. I hope these restaurants are easily able to go on and claim that it was not just something that they say and it's not really a reality.
Here's my favorite part about this, which they definitely did not include this with the last round of grants. It says, to qualify, restaurants must not be a part of an affiliated restaurant group with more than 20 locations.
So the big players.
It's only for the small to medium-sized restaurants. What happened with the other relief bill was it was like Chili's and like airport restaurants and stuff. They took up all of the allocated funds, and these little guys weren't seeing any of it. I mean, I don't know a single restaurant that was like, oh yeah, we got like $1 million in grant money. It was all sucked up by the big guys. So this is good. That's a really good caveat in there. So more good news for small business owners. Some more kind of general stuff that's a part of the American Rescue Plan: an extension of federal unemployment benefits from $300 to $400 per week through the end of September. So anybody that's on unemployment right now, or even if you have partial unemployment, so if you're working only 2 or 3 shifts a week, you can still get that $400 benefit every week. And if anybody's claim ran out, which actually my unemployment claim ran out just last week, they automatically renew. So, there's not as many jobs to go around in the restaurant field as there were pre-shutdown. So there's still a lot of us on unemployment right now, unfortunately.
Yeah, a lot of good talent is out there right now. That's for sure. I'm in the same boat. My unemployment recently lapsed, and now I'm on a different program that luckily our state's covering. But it's a sad reality. But a lot of us are still out of work. I mean, places are open, but they're not full occupancy. And myself personally, I just don't want to settle for something that isn't going to be to my standard.
It's I feel like not working for so long has made me really picky about what business I'm gonna be giving my full time and attention to. I've always just kind of taken things as they come, and that's being opportunistic like that has definitely helped me get to where I am now. But now that I'm at this point where I'm like a very hireable person, I kind of think I'm like, well, do you really deserve what I have? Are you going to underpay me? Are you going to take advantage of me? Are you looking for a quick turnaround? And unfortunately that's what happened with our last location. They kind of tried to take advantage of us, even though we did a huge amount of work for them. I'm by no means am I trying to sit back on unemployment and just wait this thing out. I want a job. I want to work, but I'm going to be really selective about the type of place.
We're going to go and help. Yeah.
You got to be worth it for me.
Absolutely.
And I feel the same way for anybody else in the hospitality industry. Some people are, having a lot more questions in their interview. How did you take COVID precautions? How did you take care of your staff when you guys shut down? Things like that. People are asking those questions. People are being, employees specifically are being a lot more demanding with the type of locations that they're going to work, because I don't know, you got options now, I guess.
Yeah. And it shows well for the restaurant if they can answer that question properly, to show that they, put their employees and their staff first. That's always one of my first questions when I interview for, anything to do with management. It's what are some incentives that you do for your employees right now? And you'd be surprised at how many people don't have an answer to that. And that's when I know who is going to be worthy of my management. But yeah, it's a good question to ask. And I think, even as an employee, it's anybody, barback server. It's what have you guys done during this time for your team? Good question. Yeah.
Started GoFundMe's and stuff that goes straight to the staff. They're like we'll cover our end, we'll cover our expenses, but anybody who's been a fan of us, anybody who's been a regular, please just donate, because this helps the staff out so that they get a little bit extra money and don't have to completely rely on unemployment benefits. Because the truth is, not everybody who works in a restaurant can receive unemployment benefits. Okay. And I know that 90% of a kitchen staff cannot legally receive unemployment benefits in California. Yeah, so those guys, they either have to find something else, or they have to rely on an ethical business owner that's gonna put their neck out for them like that.
Yeah.
So we've got also a new $15 billion grant program for struggling small businesses owners, separate from the existing PPP loan program, along with a $35 billion investment in local financing programs that provide businesses with low interest loans. So what I'm seeing here is, if you've been behind on your payments, you can probably qualify for some help. And if you're starting a new business, you can probably qualify for some help. You know, we took a walk down the gas lamp, and I think we found 14 empty restaurant spaces.
Yeah, at least.
Yeah, and they had the bones of a restaurant too. Yeah, so it's just all these businesses are closed down. So even if things are open, there's the local economy isn't getting as stimulated as it normally would be. That means the city's not getting as much tax payment, sales tax, payroll tax, stuff like that. So the city, I mean the state government wants you to open a business, right?
Yeah, they're trying to incentivize people to be opening.
We got to replace some of these businesses that have been lost. There's landlords right now that have nobody paying their rent, so they're just paying a mortgage for no one to be there. So that's all stuff that's adding to kind of a little bit more stress on our economy. So
yeah, and I think that's going to happen soon. I think a lot of people are still, not really scared, but just trying to be a little bit more responsible with, COVID going around, not wanting to contribute to it. But I think once the vaccines are out, people are going to get a little bit more comfortable with going out and actually stimulating our local economy and going down and putting a little bit of money into those restaurants and those businesses. Yeah.
Super excited. Last thing on the American Rescue Plan that's notable is an extension of eviction and foreclosure moratoriums until the end of September, with $5 billion set aside to help tenants struggling to pay rent. So that is, that's both good and bad for landlords, I think. It means that if somebody's behind on their rent payments, then they can kind of hold out for a few more months until September without getting evicted. But it also means that those people that are behind on their rent payments are more likely to get help. So
yeah,
it's a good thing.
I would think so.
Yeah, definitely is a good thing. But we will see. Even still, I think September is going to be a pretty hectic month. The foreclosure process is a complicated one, but I think a lot of landlords are going to be cashing in those checks
big time
when they come.
Well deserved, I think.
Yeah, I mean, it's tough. You take a risk by buying real estate and, being somebody who can acquire passive income in that way, especially with like business income. It's a risk. It's not a completely safe thing. So, in my opinion, are landlords like deserving of like all of a bunch of help? Yes, they're just like every one of us. They don't deserve to lose everything they have, but them who decided to take on a business risk versus somebody who's just literally trying to make it by and make enough money, it's a little bit of a difference, Yeah,
with the restaurant industry. Yeah. I mean, because we got staff to look out for, whereas they're looking out for themselves.
Yeah, exactly. Not that we hate landlords or anything, but
I like mine.
Yeah. So, more realistically, what can we be doing right now to, like if you're a restaurant owner, what are you trying to do right now to kind of set yourself up for success as things start to open and this kind of like acceleration of business starts to happen?
Yeah, right now is the time to be doing it all. It's almost like downtime. I see a lot of restaurants doing it. Some of my old ones are, really taking advantage of this time to, do your menu development, get everything lined up. Now is the time to be doing all your trainings with your team members. Obviously, you're not going to have a full team with you, but to have that material ready, to have those guidelines set in place for when you are able to get the green light and ramp up business. It's quick, it's seamless, and it's efficient. And I do see a lot of places doing that right now, but now is the time to be being proactive and not reactive. I think we've learned during this whole thing.
Yeah. I think another big important thing to be doing right now is social media marketing. Like, not,
Absolutely.
putting in the work, but also letting people know 100% where you're at, when you're going to open, when you're ready to take on like full capacity. Some of the best places in town, I follow them on Instagram, and they're they're posting like, hey, we're not open yet. Like, just wait. Like, just please be patient with us. But they're posting about it. Like, they are, even though it's not, the best way to do it is communicate whether you have good news or bad news, right? Just let people know where you're at. Just because it's not an exciting thing, like, we're opening this Friday. Everybody wants to do that. But sometimes you just have to get out there, be communicative, and say something like, hey, we're doing our best right now. We're training our staff. We're getting this new menu out. Just be patient. And when we do open, we're super excited to see all you guys. Until then, we have these to-go packages that we have for you, or we have merch you can buy. We have this other stuff, That way they're still generating some type of income, even though they're not having like diners at the moment.
Yeah, that's a good point. Just being engaged with your local community, and just interaction, it goes a long way. And you're building your clientele, you're building your guest portfolio, and you want to keep them up to date, in the loop. And just you're not alone. You're going to be talking about the same thing that everyone else is. Like, hang in there. Like, we're going to be opening soon. You're not alone. Everyone else is doing the same thing, but staying involved with your audience is important, and definitely social media right now is huge.
Yeah, it's almost like if you want to open a restaurant nowadays, or if you want to run a restaurant, you have to like also be a social media marketing agency. Like, you have to take those things into consideration, because especially when people are less likely to be walking around or just to walk by and check out your spot, they're going to check online if you're open or not,
Yeah.
And Google has not been very good at keeping up with restaurant. Like, you'll Google a spot and it'll say that they're closed, but you're like, well, no, I know that they're open. And then you have to go check for yourself, you know what I mean? So Google's not as reliable as it once was. And understandably so. There's so many restaurants, all the rules changing. You don't know if one restaurant's going to be like going to survive the next shutdown or not. And so
I think that goes into the whole back and forth thing. When it first shut down, reopen, it was, there's so many things that you have to do as, an owner or manager of your property. Is you got to go online. You got to update your website. You got to update Yelp. You have to update Google. There's platforms where some of these things do it all for you. But I know for me, that was a challenge to get all of the hours of operation updated on all avenues of, the places that you're able to be found. All the search engines have to be updated, and it's a lot of work. Come in and do that, 4 times. It's just insane. So it doesn't surprise me that a lot of restaurants are still lagging behind in that aspect.
The fact that you can go to a lot of restaurants, like you go to their website and it's still not updated.
Yeah.
It's been a year. We've been in this pandemic for a year now, and you still haven't updated your website. Like, what is going on? Like,
there's some things that just aren't excusable, but it's understanding to an extent. But
I don't know if it's like just a lack of effort, or like ignorance to the issue, or just a plain out like not understanding, or just being stubborn and being like,
I just don't think that a lot of people know the importance of it.
Yeah.
They've probably just washed their hands of the idea of updating their website. If somebody's going to come, they're going to come. The problem is we're not getting that foot traffic that we used to, like you were saying. We're not getting the walkability that we used to. Like I said, a lot of people are still, on the fence of coming out and going downtown, going into the city, going to their local area, and just taking a stroll and looking at a couple of restaurants and dine. Not like that anymore. People are making the plans now at home, looking at their reviews, looking at their websites and checking their menus out. I know for me, that's what I do a lot. My wife has a pretty significant food allergy, and checking out their websites is the first thing we always do. It's like, what can we eat there? And if their website doesn't look up to standard, or it's not even updated, if it shows that they're closed, then we obviously won't even take the time to go down there and check it out. So the importance of that is huge.
Totally. I mean, even my the last owner that I worked for when I was a bar manager, we were a neighborhood spot. Like, everybody loved us. You had the same 25, 30 people coming in on a Friday night, and it was like packed out every weekend. It was awesome. Our website wasn't updated until like COVID happened, and we had to find a way, like, because we were getting, our phone was ringing off the hook all day long. People were like, your website isn't updated, your menu doesn't say this, like, this doesn't, do you guys do to go? I'm like, oh my God, we gotta just like the fact that we slept on it for so long, we would even have meetings. We would be like, the website's not updated, and the owner would be like, well, I don't really care. Like,
and it's making you guys more busy than you have to be. I mean, that's essentially, you're hiring somebody to do that job, to stand at the host desk and answer a phone, rather than just, having one host to sit people. You now have two hosts, one to sit and one to answer phones all day. You could have just updated your site and alleviated the whole problem.
Right. Yeah, you can take care of so much hassle on the front end if you just have like a well operating website. Like, you don't even have to talk to people if you have a good website. You know what I mean? Like Chipotle, you can order everything on the app, and you walk up to the door, or you park in the burrito loading zone, you walk in there, you grab the bag that has your name on it, and you walk out. You don't talk to a single person the entire time. And I don't think that every restaurant should take up like the same model as Chipotle. I think it's great to be face to face and see people and stuff like that. But that's just how efficient you can be. And I think it's completely silly to not invest the time and the resources into making sure that is something that works for you.
Yeah, totally agree.
Some other things that I just want to talk about real quick, along the lines of this kind of to-go thing, the branding, merchandising. You can really tell out there what restaurants have done a great job at branding themselves and being able to recover some of their lost funds by doing some like branding and merchandising and stuff. And the ones that were just trying to like make it by, they're like, well, we sell food and drinks, let's just keep selling food and drinks. It's like, well, not everybody's buying food and drink right now. Some of the best things I've seen have been catered. Some of the efforts that these restaurants have been going through to like do these like catered like cocktail boxes and stuff. Sometimes they'll give you a kit, they'll sell you like a whole bottle of whiskey or gin, and then they'll give you their mixers, and they'll have it all labeled out, and they'll have like ingredients and garnishes in there. That's been an awesome way. These businesses have been like making some extra revenue. Another one that I saw was Jay and Tony's was doing like a whiskey tasting. They did a whole whiskey tasting on Zoom, and they just charged like I don't know what it was, but they charged a certain amount of money for them to send out samples to people, and it was kind of like a gift kit that you could give to somebody for Christmas. And they did a whole like, you could participate, do the whiskey tasting at home on Zoom, and they would also talk about like how to incorporate those things into cocktails and stuff.
Yeah, I love that. We were close to doing one of those before we shut down right before Christmas.
We were like building our box set thing, and then we're like, we just got shut down. I was like, well.
got all the pictures, got all the product, ordered all the boxes, all that good stuff, and then wasn't able to do it.
Yep, I know. But that's the difference between a business that is thinking ahead, like thinking already like through those things.
Yeah,
we would have done that, but we would have at that point done it for free, and they would have been making all of the profit off of it.
Yeah.
You know, it's those little things that like
in my head, it's like I was already thinking like, we can't do it this year. I'll just take the pictures and we'll run this. We'll try and run this next year and see where we're at then. But that's, you know, the way I was thinking is like, you know, let's not make it be a total waste. Maybe we can utilize this something next year.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And it's good to plan. I mean, I think that the gift box set thing works. It works for the holidays, but I think it works year round. You know, like I think for every cocktail menu that you have, you can do a little gift box set or something like that.
And I think it is going to be pretty trendy. And I think it has started a trend, and it will carry on just to do like the whole takeout thing in general, especially down in San Diego. You know, we have all the parks and stuff, and to bring a little drink kit to the park and like, you know, do a little picnic out of it. Like, I don't think that that's going to go anywhere. I think that'll stick around. Yeah.
And so many people have been trying to like learn how to like home bartend and stuff like that.
Yeah.
You know, I've become a way better cook at home. I've been cooking like most of my meals. How many meals do you eat in a week? Like 7 times 3, 20, about 20 meals in a week. I've been probably cooking like 18 of those meals, and I've gotten way better at cooking this whole time.
Yeah, I've gotten better at baking.
Yeah,
I've always done the cooking and all that stuff, regardless. But yeah, the whole baking thing is I'm getting good at cookies, cakes.
Nice. Yeah. So, you know, most people are like, they're trying to learn a skill, trying to learn stuff, especially with bartending. You know, people are like taking a liking to it. I think out of COVID, people are actually like more interested in more eclectic, like whiskeys and gins and different ways to make cocktails. They're like, oh yeah, I got the basics down now. Like I don't, you know, give me something more complicated. So I think it gives a lot more room to grow actually, for stuff like that. So I'm excited for that. I'm actually probably, I want to plan like a Zoom like cocktail tasting with my like Instagram audience and just see how people respond to it, and then kind of fit that into a business model for a restaurant. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Do like an R&D with my own audience, and then like make that basically like a product that you can use for a business that works for them too. You know, helps the restaurant build their business and stuff.
For sure. That would be a hoot.
And that's the hoot, guys. We could just end it here. We're about 45 minutes in. Thank you for listening. If you listened all this way through, okay, this was our first time doing this podcast.
Yeah, cheers to you. You deserve a shot. Thanks for bearing with us.
Yeah, of course. Appreciate it. You know, we'll probably I'll edit this down into like smaller clips too to put on like Instagram and TikTok and stuff. But we just appreciate anyone who listened. Subscribe. We're gonna get this thing out on Spotify, the Play Store, probably any podcast app where you can find this stuff. And we'll also be uploading this to YouTube as a video podcast. So I'm excited.
Yeah, likewise.
This is technically episode 2, but I might just scrap episode 1 and make this episode 1 because this was like a way better episode, I think.
Nice.
Yeah.
It's always easier with somebody else to bounce ideas off.
Of course. I can't wait till we get more guests too. That's going to be super exciting.
Yeah, it's going to be a good time.
I've got a couple people in my on my radar. So
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, I want to get Gordon Ramsay.
Yeah, we'll get Gordon Ramsay. One day we'll get Gordon Ramsay.
Yeah, we'll get Gordon. We'll see what he's up to.
So again, everyone, thanks for listening. This has been the Hospitality Hoot. Check us out next time and like, subscribe, all that stuff. Cheers.